Welcome to the Uriah Jokes Podcast. Here's a quick joke for you. Everyone's talking about inflation. Oh, the gas prices. Oh, the food costs. Oh, inflation. And it's affecting my life too. I mean, this friend won't even hang out with me because he thinks he's too cool anymore. He has an inflated ego. Hey, that was a joke. And that was me attempting to actually laugh, but then I did a fake laugh. Because there's something about laughing by myself in a room that makes me feel like if I'm the one laughing, at least somebody's laughing. So why is it hard for me to laugh by myself when I can laugh at someone else tell a joke? It's because I live with this humor. What I realize now is because I make jokes. When I make jokes and I say things all the time, that's just me being normal. And what I don't realize is that is funny. So what I've done now is I've created this normality of just being funny all the time. So that's normal to me. So then I try to up my own ante, re-triggering my gambling habits to try to be funnier. So I don't even realize that just by talking or just by saying certain things, it's funny because it's just me being me. But hey, I'm in LA once again, and today I'll be going to a nooner mic at the fourth wall, paying $5 each, so I'm going to be $10 in the hole right away. Then, I have two decisions now. I was at the Ha Comedy Club last week, and what turns out, I didn't realize, but I did a set, and it turns out it was the owner. And I didn't realize at the time that decided to stop me on my way out to say I did a really good job. And then I was like, yeah, that's great. Excuse me, I'm just running to go to another mic. If I knew he was the owner, I probably would have continued having a conversation with him. But I was like, now I gotta do another mic. I like to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mics a night. And today I'm starting in the day. Tomorrow I think I'm gonna be able to get 5 in, which is fantastic. The more I can get in, the better my set's gonna be when I do real shows. Like I do the real shows at the Glendale Room, or the real show at Brass Bear Brewery, where I have an amazing lineup, including a headliner who is passed and has his name on the front of the Comedy Store, as well as somebody, Rachel Wolfson, who is in the new Jackass Forever movie. So how about that? How about that, guys? For all the haters and all the people commenting down below, Uriah, yo, no, well, guess what? I have lineups that prove you're wrong, unless you want to live in a different reality that's negative. But when you're in a different reality that's negative, you're going to have a type of blood type that's going to be harder to get if you ever need it. Is that true? I don't know if that's true. I have no idea if that's true. But how about we decide to move into a reality where that is true, and then we move on from that. And me, because I'm able to do just 5 days here, and then I do 2 days where I bartend, I'm a sophisticated bartender. I like to tell jokes, all that kind of stuff. And now I'm a morale. I consider myself a morale boost at work because I joke all the time, but I also get work done. I work hard, I play hard. And I'm never going to say that again in my life. And I like to do bits at work, where if it's like putting on the glasses and they're all falling, and sometimes one breaks, and then the bit kills a glass, which then kills my paycheck because I have to pay for that glass. And I'm not even breaking glass ceilings. I don't need to break glass ceilings. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about. But I went in and you guys know my slide whistle. Just went in front of the guests. Oh, we have to call them guests. And just slide whistle, boom, and they loved it. I think just when you got all like the potentiality of World War III, gas prices, the Vancouver Canucks might not make the playoffs. You got all these very important things in the life. And it's important to me to just keep joking and stop taking life so seriously. It's so annoying. Everyone takes life so seriously. Like, I was driving the other day, and I was getting on the highway, and I cut some guy off. He honks his horn at me and starts yelling at me. I'm like, hey, man. And then he cut me off when I was trying to say something through the window. It's like, okay, if I cut you off, then you cut me off, then we have this back and forth of cutting each other off. What are you gonna do? I went to this mic, and it was a bad part. There's certain parts in LA that were just awful. Were just filled with crazy people yelling at each other. And I'm not even talking about the people at the Taco Bell. I'm talking about the homeless people. And that one of these homeless people was chasing me with a knife. I'm like, hey man, cut it out. How about that? So too is I'll give you guys like a little bit of insight of what it's like to be like open micing and all this kind of stuff. So in Los Angeles, a lot of places it costs $5. I know I've kind of gone through this, but I'll go through it again so you guys can know. It costs $5 to do a mic, and you're normally in front of other comedians, all that kind of stuff. Most comedians don't use the time as they should, which is kind of odd. It's like they're paying the $5 and then they don't prepare. It's kind of like going to get a haircut, and you don't wash your hair, and you put a hat on the entire time. And then they're like, hey man, do you want to take your hat off? It's like, no, cut around the hat. It's like, hey man, but you paid the money for the haircut. Don't you want to get it trimmed? Trim the fat off, get it worked out, get it look so when people see it? No, I'll just go wear the hat, man. You gotta take the hat off though, I gotta cut your hair. You waited all this time, you waited an hour, you finally get up to the chair, and now you're wearing a hat? Don't you want to, groom it, make it good, so that when you show your other people your hair, they like, hey, maybe I want to hear this guy's hair more. You get yourself into a hairy situation, right? Did I just compare someone wasting $5 to go up and be like, I don't know what I want to talk about right now, and then just say headlines of the news without jokes? But it's kind of also like, you get the haircut and you just put the hat back on. It's like, what are you doing, man? You got that nice bald head of hair. Keep the hat on. Why is a bald person going to get a haircut? So yes, there's the open mics that are $5. Then there's a great one, which, as long as you get up earlier, it's the Comedy Chateau. It's a free mic, which is great. What's great too is like, I'm starting to see that, like, because I have a higher level, but I've been doing comedy for a lot longer than the other open micers. I've been doing comedy a lot longer, I think, than the other open micers. We're all in the same situation. What I'm realizing now is that, like, there's other comedians that came back in the room and other ones watching my set because I have these jokes written, and I always try to do different jokes or different rhythm with the jokes. So I don't like the idea about going up there and just doing the same 5 minutes in a row because it's kind of boring. Of course, yes, like doing the same 5 minutes, you could think about a tag, the cadence of the joke, the timing, all that kind of stuff. But me, it's just, when I first started, lots of people were like, you're right, you just do different jokes all the time, so we want to listen to you. We don't know what jokes you're going to do next. We don't know if you're going to say the same joke differently. And that's why I like to keep in mind the people that have seen my set before and the people that have not seen my set before, knowing that it's a one-in-a-kind, unique experience. Like, I might just forget about that joke. The problem is I just write so much, and then there's such a small amount of time on stage that I can do the jokes, and I have no hierarchy of what makes a joke better. Like that new one with inflation. It's a newer joke that's kind of funny, but in LA, I have lots of fun with, my dad's like, oh, you're moving down to liberal Hollywood. I mean, like, I don't know how liberal Hollywood is. They freaked gluten before Britney. Like, that's a unique joke to LA that's always going to work in LA, which it kind of works in Santa Barbara, but it's completely different because everyone really knows. Actually, people people all know who Britney Spears is. What the hell am I talking about? Oh, there's a new one. So when I write a new joke, it's always funner because I don't know what's going to happen. It's the unknown of comedy that's always great. Like, even though I could tell the same joke like 100 times and it gets laughs like most of the time, still someone might not laugh at it. But when you're telling a new joke, there's a sense of vulnerability. You don't know where you're going to go. There's the unknown. If it doesn't work, how do you go on to the next one while keeping the same pace, timing, all that kind of stuff? But me, as I just realized, is that I have just so much confidence with my jokes. Like this next one here. My parents are separated. They're on good terms, but they don't talk to each other because they're both anti-5G. Like, that's just like a fun joke that I'm going to do on stage, try on stage, and it's going to work. So this is kind of like my breeding ground of my thoughts, because the problem with me is I think all the time, like way too much. I have a constant narrator as well as an imagination. So I see pictures, like if someone's like, Uriah, do you see that penguin running around with brass knuckles collecting money from the school kids? Now I do, like pretty vividly. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with on a constant basis, man. I'm dealing with made up things and then made up people. Then I realized, wow, these people aren't actually made up. They're just morons. Here's a couple things. I'm just all over the place here. I try to do outlines for this podcast. I try to like because when I say words out loud and then they turn into sentences, that turn into paragraphs, that turn into a podcast that you guys listen to, I never know if I'm making any sense. Because people, like, I don't care about how many people watch. I'm not in it like to try to get thousands of views. I'm just like a slow climb of hopefully getting subscribers. And people, and just long-term people that enjoy my comedy. So it's better to foster a smaller community of people that understand my jokes than like maybe getting a couple thousand people that follow me but don't really understand the humor that much, and they're just doing it hopefully that I follow back, that kind of stuff. So I try not to get hung up on that. So this podcast really is me trying to get my thoughts out there, while at the same time trying out material to see what works and what doesn't, and then going to the open mic where I've talked things out already, and then if that works, then I post a video of the jokes, hopefully on my shorts, to get some more views and subscribers, and hopefully that slowly leads to me getting better gigs, and the more that happens, the more this snowballs, and I become a better and better comedian. That's what's amazing. Every day is I have the opportunity to get better than yesterday. And let's get inspirational here. So Uriah wakes up every day in the morning and has a cup of coffee, and he thinks about what he's going to do for his podcast. He thinks about the jokes he is going to tell. He looks at the price of Dogecoin, but not anymore because he sold most of his Dogecoin. Now he looks at what's going on in Ukraine. Oh, what a world that we live in. He used to wake up to look at the price of a joke cryptocurrency that doesn't really exist, but now he looks up a war where there's a small minority of people who believe that doesn't even exist. And then he ventures off into the eyes of the storm, and that eyes of the storm is the morning bathroom. There's a friend of mine that listens to this podcast who hates my bathroom jokes. So every time I say one, I'm like, I'm disappointing a friend right there. And then after that, he watches a YouTube clip of probably Norm Macdonald to laugh and get used to being up in the morning. And then he writes some jokes and he figures out what he's gonna do for the day. And then he goes, what am I doing with my life? Is this ever gonna go anywhere? And it goes back and forth 1,000 times. Then he finally finds his Prius, where someone has placed a "We Buy Junk" card, where someone has placed a flyer saying "We Buy Junk Cards," which is a weird type of business model, because it's a business model that is insulting the customer and then expecting to get business from that said customer. And if you think that is example of toxic relationship. And then Uriah drives to an open mic and sometimes waits an hour and sometimes 3 hours to get up. It doesn't matter. And this is a clip that I will play of waiting 3 hours at a lottery open mic at the Haha Comedy Club. A lottery is when you pay $5 and throw your name in a bucket, and somehow Uriah's name always gets picked last. And then what happens is comedian after comedian goes on. Some are good, some are bad, who's to say? But then someone came up, and I'm giving context for the audio that will be played at the end of this as I move my hands like a symphony. And why am I using this voice now? I don't know, but the voice is the inner voice inside my head, and the inner voice is telling me to do this voice. And maybe people think it's interesting, or maybe people think it's annoying. But the chances are, if you're still listening to this, you're a fan of my podcast, which means you probably are like, oh, look at that voice. And there was this guy who was really annoying, and he paid $10 so he could do 10 minutes and went on stage and just sat on the stage and kept saying, don't let your parents tell you what to do. You can do whatever you want. I haven't called my mom back. She's called 6 times. I went from New York City 3 days on the train. And this is the clip of me talking about that on stage with only 3 people as they're getting ready to do a real show, which goes with the idea. Now that the 5 years I've been doing comedy, all that kind of stuff, is that I don't care how many people are in the room. You never know who's going to be in the room. You never know who's listening. The 3 people that are listening, it doesn't matter. You could be like, there's only 3 people here now. What am I going to do? Well, those 3 people are still there. It doesn't matter about there's 1 person that's just the sound guy or 100 people. You're always there to try to do the best you can possibly do. It doesn't matter about whether or not you're a dishwasher or a zookeeper that let the lion loose on accident, and now you're in the lion's den because you locked yourself in the cage of despair, because you know you're going to get fired because this is the 3rd time you let the lion out, attempting to recreate the lion that roars at the beginning of an MGM Grand film because you're a big fan of the films. What does this have to do with anything that I'm talking about? I don't know, but what I do know is that when I write my jokes with a Wii pen, I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I'm gonna roll the clip, but this has been the Uriah Jokes Podcast.
Oh, it's great. I often think when it's, we've all been here for almost 3 hours just to bang, bang, bang through these jokes. I got 2 parents, one of them knows who I am, the other one's proud of me. There's a lot of homeless people in LA. Like, I was meeting someone downtown, I couldn't figure out whether or not they're homeless or a Tinder date. They say it takes a big man to admit to his mistakes, and Viagra is truth serum. There we go, my identity was stolen. I'm just glad someone finally sees me as their role model. Oh, everyone's talking about inflation. I mean, it's cheaper to go to an open mic now than to get a gallon of gasoline. I mean, even my friend won't hang out with me. He has inflated ego. He's too cool for me now. Oh man, a friend of mine, she just got married. Now the only thing that goes down on her is the internet. Thank you. This guy had this successful ladder company, but then he had this motto: don't get high on your own supply. He went bankrupt. He didn't safety test his ladders. What a moron. Everyone's talking about liberal Hollywood, but it doesn't make any sense. They freed gluten before Britney. Oh man, I got this new mattress, but everyone got mad at me because they told me my mattress brand isn't woke enough. I'm like, I think that makes it a good mattress. Alright, who knows? I have a superpower. I'm a clairvoyant, but only when I black out. I hope that oh nice was for me, but I doubt it was, but it's okay, moving on. Oh man, my boss was like, Uriah, don't bring your problems from home to work. Okay, I'll park 2 blocks away next time. I live with an RV. There we go, I just moved into a new place. It's making a lot of noise. They say that's just the house settling, but I doubt it because there's no way the house is settling for me. I do a lot of wordplay with my jokes. My wordplay is like my foreplay. Hilarious. Oh man, this. Thank you. Bring some life into the room. We got here first and we end up last. What the hell? I hate lottery mics. I don't play the lottery because I always get last. Then what, that guy? That guy definitely was running away from home, the guy sitting on stage, right? Certainly. Don't let your mom ever tell you what to do. I went on a train here. You ran away from home, man. God damn it. You came in here and immediately asked him to be booked on a show. I'm like, what are you talking about, man?